Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Green Square Talks Battlebots Prediction Podcast. So, I present to you episode 3 of Battlebots Champions 2 bracket for it. We got 8 more big names, 8 more robots looking to join in Champions Endgame, Sawblaze, Tantrum, as well as the winners of the previous 2 brackets, Shreddit Bro, and last week's winner, Whiplash. So yeah, we got a pretty good trio of robots here, quite a few big names, and quite a few others I could see as like potential dark horses and potentially be able to pull off what Shreddit Bro was able to do. So I think there could be a lot of interesting stuff really could happen in this one. But so I think this could be an exciting episode. Like no, another chance where we could see some mid or low tier robots like really make a name for themselves in this bracket, even if they don't manage to make it all the way to the Golden Bolt. So I think this will be interesting regardless. So yeah, if you like what you see, obviously like and subscribe. And then be sure to send in your predictions for this. Obviously, as lots of you have already. Always love hearing what you all have to say, and always comparing them with my own. And yeah, I always love hearing everyone's takes on stuff like this. It's one of the best parts of this. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get underway with predictions. We'll go through each matchup one by one, round by round. So yeah, we'll start off with the top left. Double Tap and Beta. So Double Tap, one of the alternates who got to partake in Battlebots Champions, and definitely Battlebots did not go easy on them because they are taking on one of the big one of, if not the biggest hammer bots in Battlebots. Beta. Definitely a legend of a robot and all that fun stuff. So yeah, as for this one is I'm pretty confident with this prediction. I'm going beta on this one. A lot of it is just that this is just a really bad matchup for double tap. I think because like beta's almost certainly going to come in with the wedge for this one, and that's just so well designed to deal with horizontal spinners like double tap. And I don't think Double Tap's weapon is going to have the power to really be able to get through that wedge on Beta and start attacking lots of the exposed areas. And I imagine, I think the only way Double Tap wins this one is if they can avoid the wedge, avoid the hammer, because Jason has definitely proven that he's not hesitant when it comes to firing the hammer. So I think Double Tap's only shot of winning this one is going to be go for the backside of Beta and really just any area where the hammer can't hit them. So yeah, so as for this one, I'm going beta with this one. Probably gonna go by knockout on this one, and because I think we're gonna see beta fire the hammer. Probably, I did see a picture that beta is going with like the thick hammer, the one they use like against Shatter, basically like not the thin steel one we saw them use against most of their opponents, but yeah. So as for this one, I'm going beta for this one. I think they're gonna win it by KO. I'm gonna go like 2 minutes, something like that. But I think it should be great. All right, right down below. And this honestly is the matchup I'm the most excited for out of these 4 fights here. And the one I had the most difficult time with predicting. We got Mammoth and free shipping. And so two robots that did not make the top 32 in this recent season. And then yeah. But then Mammoth was definitely in contention to get there though, because Mammoth had a decent 2-2 run, I feel. But yeah, so as for this one, I'm going Mammoth for this one, and like one of my reasons is basically that I think this is just a really odd like this Mammoth is always just one of those really odd designs, really difficult to fight robots, and definitely that has hurt a lot of teams in the past. Basically, like we've seen some teams dismantle Mammoth before. But then other times we see teams have a really hard time with this robot just because of like the odd shape of Mammoth. And then the other reason being that free shipping's vertical spinner has not impressed me that much. Like I don't think it's done as much as I feel we could have seen. I don't know if that's just the vertical spinner design or if that's like speed controller issues or something, because we know lots of teams were having issues with speed controllers in the pits until Rory got involved. But yeah, I think if Mammoth can like use like that design type thing that I was talking about against free shipping, and not to mention that Mammoth kind of does some like unusual type damage, at least. I don't know if that makes any sense. Basically, like Mammoth is a robot I don't expect to do a lot of damage, but then it does. So it manages to do some damage with that lifter, which is kind of incredible. But but yeah, my I think the only way free shipping takes this one is if they break something important on Mammoth. Yeah, because like we saw definitely Mammoth was winning the fight against Shatter, but then Shatter managed to get a but then a wheel came off Mammoth at the last second, likely due to a shot that Shatter had landed. And so basically my point with that one being that free shipping just needs to land the perfect shot, whether it's to break that weapon and striking the weapon belts on it, get to a wheel, get to the backside and flip them over. Because Mammoth, while it can self right, it seems like it's struggled to in some of its matches. But yeah, I think that's free shipping's route to winning this. But I think this should be an excellent matchup between two talented drivers here, and but yeah, I think Mammoth is going to take this one. I think I'm going to predict Judge's decision for this one because I think both robots definitely have the capability to be able to last a full 3 minutes with each other, and I kind of expect some surprises from Mammoth in this one. That's kind of what I'm going for in this one, and why I'm going to go Mammoth once again. Okay, let's go top right. Triton and Gigabyte. So two more robots that did not make the top 32. Triton was one that was definitely in contention for it because they were 2-2 in the recent season. And yeah, Gigabyte. I don't know if we need to talk too much about that, but yeah, anyway, regarding this one, basically with this one, this is another one like Beta and Double Tap here. This is just a really bad matchup for Triton, I think. Because like I imagine Gigabyte's gonna come in with the shell like spinner. Because that type spinner is just so well designed to take on horizontal spinners. And I expect we're gonna unless if we see Gigabyte like make a wrong turn, hit the wall or something, and I think we're likely going to see a lot of weapon. I think we're likely going to see a lot of weapon on weapon action, and I think Gigabyte's going to be winning a lot of it. But I think the only way Triton takes this one is if Gigabyte beats itself. Like I talked about, like running into the wall previously. Like that's definitely an example of it. I that's definitely Crichton's route towards winning it because I don't think that horizontal spinner is going to be able to do much to the body of Gigabyte unless if they can get Gigabyte over or if Gigabyte beats themselves, like I said. So yeah, I'm gonna go Gigabyte on this one. I think this is gonna be a pretty fast fight. I think I'm gonna go around a minute for this one. So that's my take for this one. Let's move on right down below. Death Roll and Slammo. So Death Roll, top 32 robot, but then went out in the first round against Hydra. And then Slammo, right down below, another alternate robot that we got to see. And might not have done so hot, but it's nice to see Slammo in Champions. Craig Danby's always fun to have around, so I'm glad that Slammo managed to get an opportunity here in Champions, even if Battlebots is not going easy on them either by pitting them against Death Roll. So for this one, I think Slammo could absolutely get some moments of their own in this one, just because I think Slammo has an early advantage in this one because Slammo has ground game because Death Roll goes for reach. But I think those defenses on Slammo are going to get crippled pretty early by Death Roll's spinner. I think what I'm kind of eyeing, at least with this one, is Slammo starts out the fight, like strong at least. He's like manages to be able to push around Death Roll, maybe get a lift, maybe a suplex, but I think Death Roll's eventually gonna take over and gonna just gonna damage the heck out of Slammo basically. And so yeah, once again, if it isn't obvious already, my pick is Death Roll for this one. and I think Death Roll will take this one. I think this will also be a relatively fast one as well. I think I'd probably be going like a minute, minute and a half for this one, but I think it should be an exciting one, and I think Slammo could get some early opportunities in this one, but I think it's going to come down to when Death Roll is able to get that first hit that I'm kind of going for with this one. So, so yeah, I have Death Roll going on, and let's talk about round two. All right, so here's round two. So for round two, I got matchups between Beta and Mammoth, and then Gigabyte and Death Roll. And keep in mind, though, these are just predictions. Like, I highly doubt I'm right about all four of these matchups, at least. I was not right on the first bracket, and same thing with the second bracket. Not to mention both of those brackets, the robot that I had winning it all went out in the first round, which is crazy. And just shows how exciting this sport is to me. Like, like I always like being wrong about stuff like that, even if I use my engineering like brain to make some predictions like this. It's part of the excitement of the sport. It's like you can never really be too sure that one robot's going to take it, no matter how much evidence you give out that somebody's going to win that match. But so let's go ahead and talk about this one. So, this next one. So Beta and Mammoth. So this one definitely relatively similar opponent for Mammoth because they fought Shatter a couple seasons back and definitely had Shatter on the ropes in that one. But Beta, while they are a similar type of robot, there are some key differences here. Because like while I think Shatter was is definitely the more effective hammer between Beta and Shatter, I think Beta one advantage that Mammoth wouldn't be able to have as easily in this one is the fact that Beta is a lot faster and a lot more maneuverable because Beta focuses a lot less on the ground game compared to like Shatter and other robots too. So I imagine Beta is going to be a much harder hammer bot for Mammoth to control compared to robots like Shatter, for example. So yeah, for this one, that reasoning right there is why I'm gonna go Beta for this one. I do think Ricky is a great driver, and I think his best bet is going to be try to keep the front towards Mammoth, try to use the lifter to try and dig into to like either the wedge or the boat armor, whatever Beta goes with. I don't know what I imagine they'd go with the wedge for this fight if they did fight Mammoth, because like while Mammoth has been known to be able to do some damage to opponents, at least with that lifter from what we've seen in previous fights. Like I don't know if it'd be like I think Beta's wedge would be the better choice for this one, and not to mention I think if they went with the boat armor, I think Mammoth could actually like split Beta with that lifter right there, and would have a better chance at succeeding at that. They definitely could with Beta's wedge configuration, but I think it's less likely if they use that rather than the boat. So so yeah, for this one, and like I think Ricky's strategy is definitely keep the front towards Beta, but I think John Reed's driving is going to give Beta the edge in this one. Because I imagine what we're going to see in this one is I bet Beta is going to try and do donuts around Mammoth, basically. Try to avoid that front, try to avoid getting swallowed up by Mammoth right there. They're like a little bit of like a trap that some robots have fallen into. And then try to strike some of those critical areas on Mammoth, whether it's like the polling structures, a wheel, a battery box. Uh, like that's definitely Beta's big target area in a fight like this. So yeah, for this one, I'm gonna go Beta on this one. I think John Reed's driving is gonna lead Beta to victory in this one, and gonna lead them to a spot in the final in this one. So now let's go to the right side, the one that I had a harder time I'm choosing between. We got Gigabyte and Death Roll. So for this one, then this is an interesting one at least. I think this could be the fight of the episode if this one occurs, of course, because you never know, this one might not occur at all. So in case if I'm wrong about either of their first round matchups, which is very possible. So so yeah, for this one, I'm very interested what shell configuration Gigabyte would go with when it comes to a robot like Deathroll. Because like on one hand, they might go with like the vert shell type thing, which allows them to be able to take hits better. Because Gigabyte put together that shell design for vertical spinners with the idea that they'd rather have somebody hit the shell rather hit the actual spinner rather than pop Gigabyte up into the air and be able to strike the underside where there are some more critical components. But on the other hand, I could see Gigabyte going with the wedge shell for this one. That reasoning being that Death Roll doesn't really focus that much on the ground game, at least with this one. And like definitely I could see Gigabyte using the shell for this one just because I imagine if those two went weapon on weapon with a shell configuration Gigabyte, I'm not sure if I have the physics right on this, but I'm if they went weapon on weapon, I could see Gigabyte popping Death Roll into the air kind of a little bit, if that kind of makes any sense at least. But regardless, though, this is going to be a brute force fight, and I think whoever wins this one is going to be whoever outlasts the other one. And both robots, I think, are pretty well known for having some reliability problems or being able to take themselves out, kind of, because like we've seen Gigabyte have issues with like the arena of the battle box, whether it's like the upper deck, the arena walls, and so on. And then Death Roll's definitely been showing its signs ever since, like signs that it kind of needs some updates at least. Like I don't think Death Roll's a bad robot regardless, but like I think definitely it's definitely not at the performance level that we've seen in 2019. And a lot of that's just because like the field is just so much bigger and so much more powerful than it was back then. So like so as for this one, and like I think this really could go either way between these two. I think like I said, it's going to depend on who can outlast the other in this one. And my prediction, a lot of you are probably going to disagree with me on this one, but I'm going Gigabyte for this one. I think Gigabyte can absolutely take it to death roll in this one, and if that, I think they can absolutely outlast Death Roll if they can keep the fight in the middle of the box for this one. So I think that's kind of their big advantage in this one. If they can prevent Death Roll from getting them in the corner or anything like that, if they can keep it in the middle, that's kind of their play space basically. I think Gigabyte has an advantage if they can keep the fight in that area. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the championship. Okay, so let's now talk about the championship, where I have Beta and Gigabyte in the final. And if this was to happen, ooh, I'm interested in this. Because, like, so as for configuration wise, I find it really difficult to imagine that Beta wouldn't use the wedge for this one. I imagine if they use the boat, I don't know. If they use the boat in this one, like, they deserve to lose, I think like there's no doubt in my mind this is a wedge configuration battle because Gigabyte's a horizontal spinner. But then Gigabyte on the other hand, and like I would bet they go with the wedge configuration for this one, but I also could see them using the one specifically for vertical spinners, the boat like shell. We'll call it that. So like I think So for this one, I kind of see this one also a lot like Gigabyte and Death Roll here. I think this is going to depend on who can outlast the other. Because the one difference I think between Beta and Death Roll when it comes to them with a fight with Gigabyte, I think Death Roll can take shots from Gigabyte better than Beta can. But then on the other hand, I think Beta has bit of a better setup when it comes to taking on a robot like Gigabyte, basically, if that kind of makes any sense. Because like I think Death Roll has more durability than Beta, but then Beta is better designed to take on a robot like Gigabyte. So I think this is another case where I think we get to see like how well can these two outlast each other in a showdown like this. And but I have no doubt that Beta is not going to be hesitant with the hammer in this one. because Beta has. That's one thing I'm really happy with Beta for this year, that we haven't really seen them be that hesitant with the hammer, at least. Like, they have not been afraid to use it, regardless of who they've been going up against. It's very helpful that they came up with that hammer, that new hammer configuration, the thin steel hammer, similar to what Thor used in Robot Wars. I'm guessing Jason probably brought up that idea, at least, using that, because it's a very similar design to what Thor uses. So yeah. As for this one, a lot of you are probably going to disagree with me on this one too, but I have Gigabyte going on this one. I think this is going to be one where I think Beta is going to have the start of this matchup, because absolutely Beta has a design advantage in this one. Beta is very well designed to take on horizontal spinners in this case, but I worry that Gigabyte's going to take this one by outlasting Beta in this one. And I know this is a really crazy prediction, at least, but I do think Gigabyte its route to winning this fight is going to be outlasting Beta, because Beta is no doubt is going to be box rushing Gigabyte and probably going to be pushing them around and firing that hammer onto that shell as much as possible to try to penetrate something. But I think if Gigabyte can keep their distance away from Beta as much as possible, land as many shots as they can, preferably away from the front, I think Gigabyte can pull this off and be able to take this one. I think it would require a knockout out for sure for Gigabyte, because I imagine control and aggression is probably going to be a lot of it's going to be on Beta in this one, because Beta is just better designed for it. So so yeah, I'm predicting Gigabyte by KO in this one, and I know, I'm full of crazy predictions, and for sure this is definitely one of those. So, uh, yeah. Anyway, that's my take on this one. Let's show off the final bracket. All right, so here's my final bracket here. Yeah, going to the second round, I have Beta, Mammoth, Gigabyte, and Death Roll advancing. Then I have Beta and Gigabyte going to the final, and I have Gigabyte going to the Golden Bolt tournament. And I know a lot of you are going to call me crazy on this one, and that's fine. Like, I totally respect if some of you I totally respect if some of you disagree with my predictions. That's totally fine with me. But yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, because I think it's time to close it out. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and comment down below your predictions as usual. I always love hearing what everyone has to say and what everyone predicts the outcomes will be for matchups like these. So, yep. So, yeah, and then also, if you didn't watch the previous prediction podcast, and if you're wondering why there are no episode reviews out there for Battlebots Champions yet, from the first two episodes. I'm not planning on doing individual episode reviews for Battlebots Champions during this. College has been keeping me really busy lately, and I just don't have the extra time for it. I got time to put together like these prediction podcasts, but I need the extra time, at least for my studies. So I'm avoiding doing individual episode reviews, but there will be a plan to put together like a big like season review, basically. Just do like one review of the entire series. We won't go through each fight one by one like what we do for each episode review, but we'll for sure discuss the season, some of the biggest moments in it, and probably do like some sort of like Q&A. So you kind of get the idea. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.